Alright, so now this will be a guide on Phase 2 of M8S. The big differences, as you can see right off the bat, is the fact that there is now 5 platforms, and with these 5 platforms, you will have to be able to navigate around them to solve a lot of puzzles. The teleporters also, as can seen right here, on every platform will send you to the left or the right, but they will put a debuff on you so that you can't teleport back for 2 seconds. There are parts in this phase, twice to be exact, when they become red, and while they're red, you will instead give you a 7-second teleport debuff. So you will have to wait 7 seconds before teleporting again. This is just put there for the 2 really major mechanics of this fight, so that you're not able to just kind of resolve an Upsia as easily. So going off right away, you need to know your light parties right off the way, because you have to be able to go to the left and the right for your light parties, and you'll break into your light parties. And the stack markers that will be seen are going to be... The stack markers that are going to be seen are also enumeration, so if you don't have 4 players in these stack markers, you will need to sack the stack marker. So if you ever have a recovery opportunity later on in the fight where it targets a DPS or whatever, don't try to 3-man stack it. It's an enumeration. It will wipe that entire stack. So you need to run those away and sack them. So from here, you can see that we start to pot right in the opener, because with that pot I talked about in the previous video, where if we can bring it open, so you can pot in this opener, and then this pot will come back up for the very final 2 minute. Something else to notate is our 2s will be coming at 30 seconds, but we will drift that so they line up with the 1-mins, and that will happen at the next stack marker. But this fight generally just has 2 of the most repeated things over and over. It's going to be this stack marker which splits up the group, followed by the next mechanic, which will just keep on happening over and over. But for 2 minutes, just drift them slightly. You should have someone with a 1 minute if your job doesn't have a proper 1 minute to be able to call when to use them. But this pot should be used in your opener here. You have roughly about 30-ish seconds that you can pop it and still have a little bit of a leniency. But the sooner the better. So right after taking the stack marker, we will all get into a conga line, and what happens with this conga line is it's going to target 5 people with these markers on 5 total markers, and you can only have 1 person on each platform. The way this works is that one side will get 3 and one side will get 2. There will never ever be a time where you get 4 unless the light parties is somehow messed up. From our understanding and for how this mechanic works is it always targets 4 of the same role and then 1 of the other role. So in this scenario, it targeted all 4 supports, and it shows 1 DPS on the other side. You could make a strat where you say the single out player always stays if you want, and the 2 others could fan out for the side that has triple, but you don't really need to worry about that. The way we did it for ours is there's 2 platforms to our right. On the other side, there's 2 platforms to their left. So you'd always have the role. You'd always have the role with only 2 sides, or the side with only 2 markers always go to the double platform. So for this example, Momo will stay, Ken will go over to the platform to the right, and on the other side they have 3. 1 person will go left, 1 person will go right, and the person in the middle will stay. And that's kind of the rule we always derived, is the outer player, if on the 2 side, will always go to the double platform over here. And that would naturally resolve the mechanic every time. The thing to notate is you cannot have 2 of these on the same platform, or else it'll wipe the raid, because what he does is he shoots an AoE at every single platform that has a marker, and if you have 2 markers on the same platform, he shoots that platform twice. As you can see also right here on the left side, this bit on the outside of the map perfectly cleaves the left or right half of the map. This happens every time you see this mechanic, and this happens one other time in the future in another mechanic. But you would need to be perfectly on the right half, or whatever for each platform. If it's hard to look back and actually see what side of the bit the arena is on, because one mechanic later there'll be 2 bits, you just look for the red laser, and if you see the red laser, you can move to the opposite side of it. But for here, you can see that it cleaves directly down the half, so as long as you're on the outside half of the arena, you will not get cleaved. And then you can see coming from the boss is the boss will shoot this blue damage at you, and that blue damage is what the preys are technically baiting. So you'll see right here, these purple beams, this is what the preys are actually baiting, is he shoots one purple beam at platform that's on it. This whole phase works really much like where if something's on the platform, it just comes from the platform. It's not like an AoE where you could have the group sitting in the bottom left corner and the person in the top right corner. It's just platform based. So after you resolve the prey markers, everyone should return back to their platform. Because what needs to happen is there's going to be a Tankbuster, and you'll see Twinbite. Twinbite, once again, this is a Tankbuster that hits the platform the tank is on, not something you can just sit in the corner of your platform and dodge. Because you'll see from the animation, the Tankbusters, they pop out right out of the middle of the platform, hitting the entire platform. So these tanks will need to be separate. Preferably, what you'll see other groups do from now on is they group up at the true south, which is the platform you started the original fight on, so that you can all be grouped up, and then the tanks would go left and right. This is technically better because the next mechanic that happens right here is going to be a half map cleave, and this half map cleave targets a random player. So if you're all grouped up on the same platform, it makes this cleave extremely easy to dodge, because then you won't have to worry about being on the danger side. Like for here, if the boss cleave the left side, we would need to rotate it over. But since the boss is cleaving the right side, we're actually kind of okay. And the group that's over there just needs to be on the right side of their platform. So this can be baited by if all 8 players stack up on the south, which is what you'll see a lot of groups after hours that cleared has started doing. Because it just makes a lot more stuff more baitable in this phase. This is something we are even going to do going forward. But to combo with this half map cleave, you can see the boss is holding a cleave over on the right side. And then you can see these bits circling the arena. And they'll either point outwards or inwards. If they're pointing outwards, like in said example, you need to go into the boss as close as possible. If they're pointing inwards, the opposite direction, you need to go out to the edge of the platform so you don't get hit by them. So we'll see when this resolves. You'll see like it does a half map cleave, so you can see these platforms over here are just bright orange, and you can see the outside cleave right here is all just dangerous. And then you'll see we got another Ultraviolent Ray. This will happen again, and you just line up again to prepare. Same rule. I'm on the furthest right side, so I will run over to the right side. And then everything will resolve. Now here, the boss will end up doing another Quake. And this is where our 2 minutes that we drifted comes up. So this is something like notate is once you're in the second stack, this is where you can properly use your 2 minutes and just be able to burst. But during this 2 minute as well, you got to be careful because the boss is going to randomly target a group. If you're doing this everyone stack south strat, like everyone goes back to the south platform, he will always destroy the south platform because he targets one player's platform to destroy. So it is recommended to stack south because then you know you're always dodging. So you'll see here, they'll cast Mooncleaver, and it's going to destroy the platform where we were on, so we need to all get away. We're going to run to the opposite side of the boss as well, because the next mechanic is going to be a Tankbuster and a party stack. A Tankbuster, 2 Tankbusters, and a party stack. The Tankbuster that is being casted will come from the boss and will cleave a 200-degree cleave from the boss, and a prey marker, which you can see like up in the corner of the screen, which is on Jisoo, is going to be a wind burst that pops on them. So they cannot take both instances of damage at the same time unless you invuln, but we prefer to save the invuln for later. So what needs to happen here is the tank that doesn't have the prey marker needs to be holding the top immunity so that when the cast bar goes off, it cleaves the tank and their side. What the party has to do in this situation is they need to stand to the left or to the right on one of these platforms opposite of the person that's getting the cleave. So the way we always looked at it is we looked for a prey marker, which was on Jisoo in this case, and we would cross the platform and be on the right side. So here we call out that it's Jisoo, so we all cross over to Jisoo's side of the half of the map. So then when this 200-degree cleave goes off right here, it will cover up both of these platforms, and then over on the right side you'll see Jisoo would take a big wind burst, and the party takes a 6-man stack right here. This needs to be midded. As you can see with like low mids, it does a lot of damage. So this needs to be midded because at this point, like, you might be running out of tools. So make sure you mid this because these do hurt. But after this mechanic resolves, you need to have 2 players on each platform. We'd like to designate like the usual range or the supports in DPS, 1 per platform, so that we can resolve 2 people per platform towers. And this is just a setup for the next mechanic. But also what goes on with these towers too is once these towers resolve, the platform is going to get these red buttons, and these red buttons are now going to mean our teleporters will now have a 7-second debuff, so you can no longer teleport more often. And this will then hurt what happens on the next mechanic. So for this mechanic, a party will randomly be assigned a tether. One platform, like one member, will randomly be assigned a tether, and this tether needs to be on the outside most platforms. So on this pattern, we have to have an adjust pattern. So what I will need to do is I will need to go over to my closest edge, which is over here with Jisoo and Art's platform, and resolve the tether over on their platform instead of on our platform. At the same time, the group that is opposite of the tether currently resolving needs to also be the closest to the boss to bait a proximity baited 2-man stack. Also for this tether right here is also a 2-man stack. This is an enumeration. It is failed if not 2 players are met in it. Also hinted by the name of Twofold Tempest. But it needs to have 2 players in all these mechanics. And if you have less than 2 players, it will just kill the players because it is millions of damage. So going on over into here, what we did, but this is kind of changed like with other players, is I would just take Art's roll and I would soak this with Jisoo, and then Art would just grab the tether afterwards and then go take my platform. So then Art can work over on my platform and just take my position. So then I will wait and I will take the third bait instead. So then I will step up for this third bait because the platform opposite of me is now taking their tether, and then we'll back up. And you will see the final tether will go off, and the people to our left, which was the second baiters, will take the second tether will take the fourth bait. So then that resolves, and everyone can then start working for the next mechanic. But to double back quickly, what has been changed and other groups have been doing is instead of Art and I just swapping places, what other groups have been doing, and this could be something you guys could do as well, is Art could grab my tether and then just go to the back of here and resolve the mechanic as normal, and I just AFK on the panel waiting to go back to my original platform. Therefore the buddies never change, and you can just keep continue the mechanic as normal and not have to worry about doing like this one what if pattern. Alright, so finding from the other perspective, where if the mechanic actually spawns on you, like the tether actually spawns on an edge platform and you don't have to do an alternative pattern, which in this one is still an adjust pattern, but now I can actually show the motion for what happens if I actually have to go do this properly. So there I took the first bait because it was on the opposite side as seen, so the platform is resolving on the left side. And then I will back up because now the next people have to bait, which you can see to the right because they're the opposite of the tether. Then after this resolves, what I recommend here, and this is what we did, is you stand as a DPS. You know that you're getting the tether next, so line yourself up between the center of the boss and the teleporter. So as soon as you teleport over, before they even get a chance to move, like they haven't even been able to move because they've been stun locked by the teleporter, you instantly have this tether. Then you can take this tether back, and then you can see as what they're doing, what Chayo is doing here, is they're waiting on their button to go back to their original platform because they still have to do a bait. They still have to bait their initial bait, like their initial, like the 2-person cleave while the tether is resolved on the next platform. So Chayo will just over here AFK on this because they haven't done their second part of their mechanic yet, and then they will get automatically teleported over for the bait. But this keeps them away from my tether. And this just makes tether grabbing significantly easier. Something else to notate, and this is something I've been seeing in a lot of teams that have been racing and stuff that have cleared like after us, is stand to the side as a support and don't move like for a second till your tether like kind of F's off. So what happened was Momo and I would stack left and right because we found out the hard way that when we stacked on top of each other, we both broke apart and the tether did tether jank and snapped to Momo instead, and we ended up causing a wipe here. So for going forward, I need to go to the right, so Momo would stand to my left, and then I would be able to run over to the right freely without ever having to worry about any contesting of the tether. So, and then on the top left, you will see that Chayo will end up teleporting back here shortly after this resolves, but he doesn't even have to like worry about it because he won't get hit by this. I then take the tether over, and Art will do the same thing. We'll grab the tether, and then run back to the group, and take this at the very back of the platform with Kin. And that's pretty much how this mechanic is supposed to resolve and work. I don't go back to my platform because I don't have to care, because I've already done my 2 parts of my mechanic. So that's why I don't actually teleport back, is because I've already done my bait for my 2-person like near bait, and I've already done my tether bait. So I just stay in the safety of their corner of their platform. All right, so upon completing the Twofold Tempest mechanic, you will all teleport back over to the southmost platform so that you can start baiting everything together, and the southmost platform should always be your thing. We, at the time, didn't do this. We honestly didn't even look at the minimap ever, like use any of the cardinals or intercardinals on the minimap. We just always went to, we set it, established a rule, but for now, like this would technically, looking at the compass, you would see this is the south platform. This is where groups would usually stay. But for us in this video, we do not stay here because that's not how we handled the mechanic at the time. Nowadays, we will be handling the mechanic this way, but at the time of this, like when we cleared, this is not how we did stuff. So going forward on this, we all teleport back over to the platform that's going to be getting recreated here shortly. And once this platform gets recreated, this is where we're going to do all of our dodges together as a team. And doing these dodges together as a team made it very, very easy because we had dedicated one person to calling out all the stuff that was going on the map. As you can see, one person would call out what was the mechanic on the map was, and one person would call out the laser. So all you would hear is just a constant cadence of like left, of just like sides, left, in, right. And it was a very good cadence that just allowed us to nail this mechanic extremely quick, like just delegating 2 different things. One person just stared at the lasers, never failed the laser mechanic because of this, like just this shot calling. It's just very good, like just divvying up the call outs here. So if you're with a team or whatnot, try divvying this up. Don't put all the pressure on one person because it is just very easy that they have to go look over here or over here, whatever way this mechanic's spinning. As you can see, it's the going right, it's going counterclockwise. One person has to stare over here, and then they got to double check on the laser. Well, yes, as a player, you should be able to do this, but it makes it so much easier as a team just to have one person calling out the next platform while you do this. Like, I will just let the audio play for itself and let you listen to how the callouts work here, because with the way this went, it was just phenomenal, like phenomenal teamwork, and it just made us get through this mechanic very fast to where we probably only had an actual wipe to it maybe 2-3 times total.
You cannot escape from the wolf.
Left.
In.
Right.
Out.
Left.
In.
Left.
Dynamo.
Right.
Right parties. Now move.
So just in case you don't have like the teamwork of that where you can have 2 people call it, let's say like you are a person from Party Finder or anything watching this, the best way like I found to do it for myself, because I also use the callouts on top of doing the mechanic myself in case I misread something. Like I would look at the left side and I'd be like, okay, in, and then I'd look at right, and then if I heard suddenly like a different call out, then I know I was wrong. So I would just always like try to solve it myself. But what I would do is I would keep my camera, like my eyeballs, not my camera, like staring at the platform in front of me, so I knew what was next once I was in my next spot. So for example, like here, we knew it was side, we're waiting for the laser at the bottom to indicate where we're going. So we'd go down to the left. So you go to the left, then I look at the next platform because I'm in my safe zone, and I would be like, okay, I see the next one's in. So now I'm gonna go look in, and I'm gonna wait for the next laser. I'm in my next safe spot, so I know it's in and right. I start staring in the corner of my eye over at the left side again, and I check to see what the next mechanic is. Then I can see that it's an out, and with going out, and then I check for the next one, which is to the left side. I look over at the left side again, I see it's in, and then you can go in and to the left again. And I know I've heard people where they say being in can be hard to see the laser behind you, like what bit is glowing up behind you. But if you stand near the middle of the arena, these cleaves once again only cleave half of the arena. So standing near the middle of the arena, if you can see this red laser, just adjust away from this red laser. Also be careful because these teleporters are active. We have had a player accidentally step on the button during it in and like left or right and step on the button. These are active buttons, so also be careful on this. But yeah, this laser right here on the right side can really benefit your team. And then, yeah, it just becomes a game of just look at the left and left laser safe spot, left laser safe spot, left laser safe spot, and just keep doing that system, and it should just work out for you. But as you can see, you go back into another stack marker, you do another ultraviolet, and then after you do an ultraviolet, you have a Tankbuster, and then we're going to get into the next mechanic. Which for this mechanic, I will tell you right now, there's a really good strat that was made by Alice Smudgley, and we did not do this strat. We did a very jank strat because, as I mentioned earlier, we didn't pay attention to the like northeast southwest of the map at all. We just played constantly boss relative. And because of playing constantly boss relative, we didn't realize there was a very simple way to solve this next mechanic, and it cost us a few runs and stuff, but we got past it sooner or later with our very like extravagant rule set. So it's kind of like hard to show exactly how to resolve it, so I will show the photo instead. All right, so looking at this image, the way this mechanic works and has like a setup is that the 3 tower is always like the 3-person enumeration tower is always on the south platform. And because it's always on the south platform, you're able to dictate what the next pattern is going to be because there's only 2 patterns, since the 2 tower will always be only 2 platforms away. So since the 2 plot tower can only be in the northeast or the northwest, it makes this like solution extremely simple. So for this, what the people will do is they will send their tanks, as you can see in the first image, up to the top left. They'll keep their healers on the 3 platform, and all the DPS will go over to the right platform. And then with this, they have an initial setup waiting for what the next is going to be. So on the next one, when you actually get assigned the tethers, because you won't get assigned the tethers at first, you do this setup before the tethers, because once the tethers go out, you get the 7-second debuff again, so you cannot like set this up after the tethers. You have to do this first setup before the tethers. So upon getting into this creation, you will see that the DPS will get tethered to one of each support. If you're a green, you're meeting up with your player. Like a green DPS, we need to go to their healer, needs to go to the left to the healer, and if they're a green DPS, they need to go to the right to the tank. The tank that's also green will move. The healer green will just stay still. But the tank green will move to meet up with their DPS because they don't want to fail the distance check. The DPS that is tethered to the tank will just AFK and never move. And then the tank that is blue will move down over to this platform. Then now, with this, the healers will never move. This is just a healer relative mechanic, so they just never move. They just sit here and look pretty. Then going on to the 2 patterns, as you see in the bottom left and the bottom right, these are 2 different patterns, not like a step-by-step. So depending on this pattern will just depend on only how like 2 people react. So where this DPS tank and other DPS blue are all at on this top right one, they will then need to be able to like adjust accordingly. So if the DPS is standing on a solo tower, they stay still. If the DPS is standing on a double tower, they will need to move over. And that's the same rule applied for both grouping. So if you are a green tether, you will need to move over to the other platform. But the big thing with this is these tethers will fail if your buddy teleports way before you. So you need to stand next to the button and wait for your buddy to be ready to move. And then you both step onto the platform together, and you can move over to the next area so that you can soak your tower. So then once you get this like creation, but the overall what this just does is it simplifies the mechanic drastically. It's when tethers spawn, you only have a few people move. Then when the towers spawn, you only have 2 people. You only have 1 group move, either the solo DPS or the double short will move. It becomes drastically simplified. But now I can show what we did in ours and kind of show like the resolution, because the resolution like on this final image is what we create, but it's not like what the strat shows. But this is massively better than what we did because because we didn't have a better strat, this was my notepad during the prog to be able to answer depending on what kind of towers spawn below me. But yeah, so don't do what DN did. Do Alice Smudgley strat. I will link the tweet in the description so people can see the actual image that Alice Smudgley posted and get the image themselves. on top of also giving a lot of credit to Alice Mudgley because they're a phenomenal player and big brain. So upon like solving the towers, like I can show this jank of how we solved our towers because it was not really good. We always had our healers go right, not rest, and our tanks go left, and then we waited for the platforms to spawn so that we could be able to actually do the next part. So here you see a triple tower at the bottom, and then we're depending on what the double is on the other side would depend on the movement of our group, which was not good. So we would get our resolution here, and then we'd be able to resolve our mechanic. But the big thing I want to notate, like after this towers, is something that a lot of groups are not doing because this solution is so easy that it's causing a lot of problems with the next mechanic, which is just the Ultraviolet. But the Ultraviolet, it comes right after this mechanic, and groups are not like going like lining back up in the conga because it's like one benefit for our bad strat is that it already like created supplemental light parties to do the next like Ultraviolet. So for here, we just go back to our original platforms and we create our Ultraviolet. Well, I guess after the cleave first, but Jisoo was just forgot to come back to the original platform. So it just created like a minor issue there. But Jisoo just comes back to our platform and we create this minor party. Because as stated earlier, the Ultraviolet mechanic can only select 4 players, or 4 of one role and 1 of the additional. So here you see we made a supplemental light party. We have 2 supports because of the 2 tanks and the 2 DPS. And with this, we still meet the requirements of the mechanic, and we can now do our Ultraviolet properly. This is something a lot of groups are lacking, and I've been watching a lot of groups clear after us, and they are just constantly wiping to this mechanic because they are not prepared for this. They are scattered all about. They're not recreating a supplemental light party, nothing. They're just getting caught off guard because the game doesn't allow you to create your original light parties like easily. So you need to have these supplemental light parties, which is going to have 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 healers, 2 DPS on each side. And then this will allow you to actually go and resolve the mechanic properly. And then we follow the exact same rule set. We know that our other light party is 2 tiles to our right, 3 tiles to our left. So that means we need to have the like double person needs to go to the right on the other side. So here I will fan out to the right, they will go to the left, and here we create our natural thing, just like at the beginning of the fight. This is just something I cannot push hard enough because it really sucks to see so many groups wipe to this mechanic constantly because they're not creating this light party conga. So please, 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 please do this. So upon finishing Ultraviolet Ray, the boss is immediately going to start their soft Enrage sequence. You want this boss to be below 30% after Ultraviolet Ray, because otherwise you're going to have a very hard time killing the DPS check. But after Ultraviolet Ray here resolves, the boss will almost immediately target a player for the tower stack marker. And you need to be ready for this because it's fast. Like it instantly turned around and placed a tower there, and nobody was on that platform because it snapshotted very early. So this is something where you need to be really ready for it, because a lot of groups are trying to coordinate, like go to the healers. We even tried to coordinate, go to this platform where I'm at, and it was way too late. Or go to the healers, and it's just way too quick. So everybody needs to be really awake and ready for wherever this tower is about to spawn. But it gives you plenty of time to get to this tower. Like you have time to get a resolve around the entire map, especially since the teleporters are fixed. So you can see everybody is looping around the map. And what this does, as the name implies, is it hits 8 times, and then it will destroy the platform. So after the 8th hit, it will cast Mooncleaver, which is the ability that destroys the map, and then you have to rotate over to the next platform. Every time you build a stack, every time he destroys a platform, he builds 1 extra damaging stack. So you want to spread your mitigation properly so that you don't end up dying and your healers don't end up having to just spam heals constantly the entire time. A way we decided to resolve this was we soaked the first 2 platforms. We soaked the first 2 platforms as a party, and then we had our tanks in bowl in the 3rd and 4th platform. And we did this so that we could have all our mitigation up, targeted mitigations like Addle and stuff ready for the final platform, and we could just go ham on healing that and not have to spam healing on these 2 other platforms. This allows our healers to DPS a lot more. But to get the tanks ready, since now we're on platform 3, to get the tanks ready for this, is you have to bait the platform first. Do not leave early. We have seen people, and we have done it ourselves, where if you leave early, the boss will then target the middle platform, and now you can't even get a proper enrage because he's going to destroy the middle platform. So you'll end up enraging on the 4th platform because you don't have a 5th platform. So wait for the platform to appear, the tower to appear, then you're able to teleport away. And then your tank, right before the end of the cast bar, needs to invuln so that it covers it. So our Dark Knight will invuln the 3rd one, and then Ken, our Paladin, will invuln the 4th one. We will just be waiting for the tower bait, and then you will want to move over. So then right here, you can see Ken invulns about right here at the E and 8. The E and 8 and has perfect amount of time to be able to cover the entire tower. So if you are a 10-second invuln player, not a Dark Knight, invuln at the E and 8, and you'll be perfectly fine. And then upon coming over, it's just going to be the same thing again. He's going to do a Howling 8 here on the final platform, and doing the Howling 8 here on the final platform. And then we'll slowly destroy it. He will destroy the platform even slower than last time. We don't get to see it in our clear because our clear was actually really, really good on damage. But the Howling 8 will hit this 8 times, and then it will take like twice as long to destroy the platform. And then that's the entire fight. So thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys can get your clear. I hope people can get their week 1s with these descriptions. Sorry the guide is like using day 1 strats, but that's why I said I want this to be for just watching and understanding the mechanics, not necessarily being told, here, go here, do this, because at the end of the day, that's just pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. So this is more understand the mechanic, learn how to do it, get better at the mechanic, clear the fight. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful night, and I hope you clear.
They moved to floating death traps! How will they fight with so little room? Now I fight with everything I have. Prepare yourself. There's no escape. Will you be able to stay on your feet?
I'm kitchening those.
After Tankbuster, it's going to be a half room with an in or out.
I will rent all asunder.
In. Seconds. 2, 1, go. After these stacks, it's gonna be him choosing a platform to break.
You'll have nowhere to stand.
I need a little help.
After this, we're gonna go to our platforms and towers. Prepare yourselves, each others, in the proximity.
The power of wit unleashed.
Me and Yoko in. Yeah, that's last. Be prepared to go onto the platform that's coming back here in a little bit.
Come. You cannot escape from the wolf.
Left.
In.
Right.
Out.
Left.
In.
Left.
Dynamo.
Right.
We can fight.
Right parties.
Now move. After this, it's gonna be blues. Dodge these. Tankbuster. Watch out, Saya.
Oh yeah.
Yep, I'm on my way.
After this Tankbuster, we're gonna be moving to Jesus platforms. Prepare for your tethers.
Damage is good. Yeah, okay, you can see everything.
Not stand in your things.
Two healer.
Yes. Yep. We're good.
Come back.
Gonna be
Look at the cleave.
half-
Look at the cleave.
Cleave first. Out.
Out.
After conga.
Congo. Dodge. After this, we're gonna move on onto whose
Meet up
platform?
on the healers.
I will try.
Too late.
We have to go.
Defeat you.
Go. Healer's just healing. Damage is good.
2 minutes should be very simple. Right.
Pots now. We going to the right.
We're tanking this next. Set it off. We'll get on the healing consensus.
Yep. Healers will heal. One. 3, 4.
Plus this. Next one is GC.
Anyway.
Costs me my
Now we
life.
go. Don't be 3.
I will do what is the last platform.
It's hard to get him before we kill it.
Neither side is holding back, but there can only be one champion.
Shit.
They can stay.
Healers are just gonna heal this. We have.
Yep.
Kill this fucking boss, guys. Kill this fucking boss. Please.
Yes.
1 minute
Get
coming
us
up.
out of here.
1 minute are here.
I have faith for this.
I have pretty low.
Will prevail.
Everything you have, guys.
And heal.
We
Kill
just leave
this
after
shit.
this.
Kill this shit. We just leave. Yep, we just
Kill
heal.
this
Just
shit.
heal.
Kill this shit. Kill this shit.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh my fucking god! I fucking died, dude! Oh my god!
Raid session.
$25!
It was worth it. Let's go.
Wait, what?
Fucking
The goal? No way.
Bro, I cannot believe I dropped dodge copy